Here we have a new 2023 Nissan Kicks. This one comes in the SV trim level in the beautiful boulder gray pearl. And then we have charcoal cloth interior. And our powertrain consists of a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, mated to Nissan's Xtronic continuously variable transmission. But as we come around to the front end here, we have our standard halogen headlamps, but still a pretty nice look for the Kicks in my opinion. I prefer the SR with a few more goodies, but this one here, definitely find it is pretty well equipped for the money. 17-inch wheels there. We get passive keyless entry on the front two doors. And then over here, power mirror controls. You can pick a side, left, right, and then offset in the middle. And then we can control the mirrors themselves there, power door lock controls, rear window lock. And we have one-touch automatic up and down windows for the front, regular power windows for the back. Decent storage size, bottle holder. That's how you open the gas cap, the hood. We do get a manual tilt telescoping steering wheel. Cut that down a little bit. And here we have a 6-way manual driver's seat. But huge shout out to Nissan of Cool Springs for allowing me to review this vehicle today. I'll leave a link below in the description if y'all are interested in purchasing one to this vehicle as well as their entire inventory. But I have the seat up front adjust for someone of my size, 6'3". Legroom's okay. We do have a seat back pocket behind the front passenger side. 2 USB charge ports, which is nice. As you can see, my legs in the frame. So it's not necessarily roomy back here, but I do have an inch or so of headroom. And of course the child lock is on. So I'll show you how we use that. There's that there. But a quick look at the window sticker. Y'all can pause anywhere you need to. To me, I think this is a great deal because you do get that intelligent cruise control. You get blind spot monitoring, front collision warning, emergency braking. You do get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto on the 8-inch screen. And it's right at $24,485 for the MSRP. And I love this paint for it to only be $395. I think it's a pretty good deal. But you're getting 36 miles per gallon highway for you commuters out there looking for a budget car. But back in here, styling is decent, especially for what it is. A lot of you Versa people, if you're wanting something with a little bit more space, definitely the way to go, because you get tons of trunk space here. Then you lift this up and the spare and jack and all that is underneath, spare tires underneath that styrofoam. But tons of room back here, specifically for taller objects. And I like that you can actually, you have a little room below the actual trunk line there. And then for additional space, you can fold these flat, pull up on this here, make sure the seatbelt's out the way. And then when the seat up front is far enough, this will fold flat. Again, not a huge amount of room back here, so I'd have to scoot that seat up quite a bit. But especially if you just want to have room when you need it, but you're mostly going to be driving by yourself, this is a very good option. Again, especially for the price point and the fuel economy. But 4-way manual seat, glove compartment here, owner's manual's in there. And I like this little, the trim here, it's actually kind of like, feels bumpy. I like that. But I always like the Nissan puts these stickers in here so you can see how much of this car comes from certain countries. But let's go ahead and pop the hood next. And there's that 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Let's go ahead and make our way to the driver's seat. So vinyl wrap steering wheel here, I like that it does that flat bottom signature look that Nissan's been trying to cultivate there. Nice to have that. Now over here, we do have our radio, so we get AM, FM, and we even get XM radio along with Bluetooth audio, and then we do get that wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto compatibility with those USBs to connect Bluetooth. Pretty easy to go ahead and set that up. And then I like the actual graphics in the screen. It's pretty easy to set up your presets. Just go through, and then you can just hold and it'll change it for you. And you can go through your track list seeking here, and you can tune using the knob over here. And then brightness, adjustability, and then you can actually adjust on the fly there when you hit that. Now settings, connections for Bluetooth and all that are there. If you want to adjust your sound, bass, treble, balance, fade, all that's in there. And then you do have an option to customize your home menu, customize the audio sources. And then your other settings are in here. So if you want to change your language, 3 options there. And if you want to change your units, you can change the distance from miles to kilometers and the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. But volume control, mute. And then we do have backup camera here, and then guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. Then we have our AC controls here, fan speed, fan direction, temperature, AC toggle there. Then you have a USB-C, USB-A port there, then a 12 volt. And a little storage pocket for your phone while it's on the charger. Then you have an electronic parking brake, pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down and disengage. Automatic brake hold there. And then for the shifter, pull the lever, reverse, neutral, drive. And then you have your low gear here. Push button starts right there. And then you have your cup holders. And a small center console cubby space, but it's okay for this kind of vehicle. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. Dome lights here. And volume controls. You can go through your gauge cluster here, through all those options. So you can go through the sub menus using these arrows, and then you can go through the actual menus themselves right here. And then back button there. You can go through your track list, radio station presets right here. And then you have your cruise controls here. We do get that intelligent cruise, so we can toggle that on and off, adjust that, gap adjust here, voice recognition, Bluetooth button. Then blinkers here. You do get high beam assist. So there are your high beams there. You can turn them off, flash, and then auto mode, you can flip it on and then they'll come on for you when they can. And then your windshield wiper controls, one time, intermittent, low, high. And then you have your intermittent adjustability there. And then your rear wiper here. Pull back for the rear wiper fluid, push up for the front wiper fluid. And then you can adjust the brightness of the gauge cluster by turning this knob. And then you can go through your trips by clicking it, A, B, and then the odometer. But here is the key fob with remote start. And now let's go ahead and take this 2023 Kicks SV out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in the Kicks SV here, again, you have that same powertrain that you get in the Versa. And in the Versa, that feels underpowered as it is. So with the Kicks, surprisingly, it doesn't feel worse than the Versa does. It's about the same. With this one being more of an SUV, you would expect it to be a little bit more sluggish, but it doesn't feel that way at all. I wouldn't necessarily say it's peppy, but it does get the job done. And with the CVT, you're not having to worry about those shift points. And I say that with about every CVT vehicle that I review, because it is a big factor that a lot of people don't realize. People think it's mostly meant for the fuel efficiency, which it is, but kind of a side benefit is having that like no shift mentality, if you will. Now in everyday city driving, this is something that pretty much gets the job done pretty well. Now, if you're at a stoplight trying to race somebody, you're probably not going to be very successful, but it does, again, you're trying to get 31 miles per gallon city, 36 highway. This is the powertrain to do that, and it does so pretty well without having to baby the throttle too much. Now, I will say the powertrain itself under light throttle is somewhat quiet, but when you put your foot down, it can be a bit loud. Of course, the sound acoustics are not the best with this kind of vehicle, but you're trying to get a car that costs $25,000. There are going to be corners that need to be cut, so on and so forth, just to keep it in that affordable price point. And I will say, I like how I said this earlier, I like how much that you get on the vehicle for the money. To be at that under $25,000 spot, you do get quite a bit. So I'm going to put it in a sport mode now, which you do pressing that button down here, and then I'm going to use the intelligent cruise. So again, when you put your foot down, it can get a tad loud, but there's the blind spots working. They do a pretty good job. And the ride quality is pretty solid for this kind of vehicle. Wouldn't necessarily say it's fantastic, but honestly, I'm not feeling anything in the steering wheel, not even a lot in the floor. So pretty good. Now I will say, the vents, and it's a weird thing to bring up, but the AC system is kind of loud to me. And I feel like it's not blowing as cold as it should, even after I've had it running for a minute. I'm gonna take it out of sport mode now. And the sport mode is okay. It just, if you want to use it, but I feel like it won't make that big of a difference depending on what situation you're in. But it's nice to have anyway, I guess. Now, for those of you who do not like auto stop, this vehicle doesn't have that issue, having to worry about it, so you don't have to worry about turning it on or off. I like having the auto stop, but also with this engine and how you'll be using the vehicle, you're probably not gonna be saving that much more fuel cutting the engine off every so often. At least it won't be noticeable. But competitors are gonna be the HR-V from Honda, the CHR from Toyota, for the most part, and then maybe that is it CX-30 from Mazda. But I mean, there are several other competitors in this market, just because everyone's trying to make small SUVs, mid-sized SUVs, vehicles that are somewhat usable in terms of storage space and cargo space and passenger space, but also they're able to get 30 plus miles per gallon. And that's basically what you have here. You can even consider the Hyundai Kona there as well, but definitely a good car for the money in terms of what you get with it. Reliability wise, you never know with the CVT, but always just maintain it as the dealer tells you to, and you'll be in good shape there. But definitely shouldn't give you any issues up front. It's those CVTs, you never know. But I mean, that's with any transmission, that's with any engine, and it's just something you gotta deal with when you're buying a vehicle from an automaker. But I will say it definitely has a ton of features for under $25,000. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Nissan Kicks SV.